You're live, Bruno. It's the Bruno Show. Are you the best host ever? You are? Because you brought the ball. You did. Come on in, Toby. Toby, interrupt. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Welcome. Hello. Oh, you ready to be the host again? Okay. All right, Toby, you're here too? A little bit of mayhem this morning, but we're having fun. Hi, Toby, are you okay? Did you drink your water too fast? Good morning. How are you? Welcome. We're live. We're here. Ooh. We have Big Props here saying hello, and Ganda's jump. Good morning, Ish and doggos. Okay. You guys are hoping I don't get any work done today, huh? Don't pet him, pet you? Okay. Oh, don't pet him, pet you? Okay. Good morning. All right. Why don't y'all? We're here. Hello. So I have been thinking about this tie, and I was trying out a couple different concepts. Ugh. I was considering hiding a knot behind where my knot should be so that I get a little more bulk right behind my tie. No, this is not going to be the strap of my tie. It's just a piece of ribbon I had because I wanted to try out kind of the scale that I needed to work with, and I had this ribbon just out and about and ready to go. Hi, Toby. How are you doing? So, hello, welcome. Are you comfortable? Okay, welcome. I suppose I never do an intro into my streams. Hi, I'm Felicia. Today I'm working on a crazy commission piece that for a photographer I'm working with, Raul Gonzo. I'm making 2 bodices and at least 1 skirt. We've gotten this far into the project. It is based off of a sketch and a conversation that we were having. So it's been a fun journey. We are on the 13th episode of working on this, and today is Thursday the 13th. So, you know, something interesting is bound to happen. Yeah. I made these tie. Oh, I got all the eyes done. So what am I talking about? The closures. She has an arm now. Look out. So those teeny tiny ants that I was working on yesterday, they're all sewn in. And then the little, you cannot, I doubt you guys can even see. There's these little tiny bumps right here. They're little thread eyes that I made. I thought they were going to take me longer than the hooks, but the hooks took me the full 2 hours of streaming to do. The eyes, even though there's technically more stitching, but because I wasn't talking to you guys while I worked on them, only took me 15 minutes. I can work extremely faster, so much faster when I'm not live streaming. It's okay. It's more fun this way. But now there are hooks and eyes and closures. And now I have to think about how I'm going to get this tie to attach. The mailman's here. Can you guys hear? Sorry if I'm like disturbing your doggos at home. Yes. William Connors is here. Hello, William Connors. How are you today? My doggos are super excited about what's going on outside. Stay. Okay. So kind of thinking about how I wanted to attach the tie. Okay. Because I do want a strap. I don't want to bother doing a bias cut strap. All right, I got to get Bruno to stop barking. Bruno, come here. Bruno, in or out? All right. Toby, you too? All right, come on. You know what, guys? I'm live right now, right? You guys are being very badly behaved. I love you guys. Thank you for keeping us safe from the scary mailman. Okay, back to the tie. So I was thinking of different ways to attach this because I have a center front opening and closure. And I definitely want the strap of the tie, whether you can really see it or not. I want it to 100% be there. And I was thinking of whether I just have a predetermined length and I just come and I pin it on the inside, or if I take two ties, one from each side, and then, so I have a strip on each side that I then tie in a knot in the middle where they meet. So it can kind of have a little more variation, flexibility in sizing, but I will definitely have a knot that will be behind my knot, which I don't hate. So that's kind of what my thought process is right now of how I want to handle this. I was liking this size, which is 1.5 inches. So it's just shy of 2 inches. 2 inches would have been too big, and 1 inch would have been just a little too thing. So 1.5 inches, I think this is a really good scale for this. And the ties are the same around the neck. So I'm going to make it for both the blue tie and the pink tie. The pink tie is a little harder to show on camera because it's a little bit ridiculously long, and I love it. But this too will have the same neck strap. But I'm going to do it in their colors and not this cool checker, as awesome as it pops on here. That's not the look I'm going for, or we're going for. So that's the plan. Hold yourself together. Stay. Okay. Oh, you have big dreams, Dan. Dan Does Junk said you can do a multi-can string, one on you and one on the animals. I can barely do this. That's okay. I'm here. We're doing this. Oh, I had this all up so I could use my collar as an example to see what it would look like. And I really like this tie. It is so versatile. It goes with this look. It goes with this look. You know, how many of you guys can pull off this tie? And got to add a compartment for the candy bars. Actually, I do want to add the little tail on the back of this tie just to make it, this is the front, just to make it a little bit more three-dimensional, even with like the loop to tie it down, because those little details are what are going to just, the difference is in the details. There's some details that it doesn't matter, but then there are other little details that it's just like, oh my gosh, those buttons, those style lines, you know. So I think I'm going to add those to this. Yeah. So I have my satin fabric here. I have to thread my sewing machine. I was considering whether I was going to do, because I'm going to be sewing both the pink tie and the blue tie at the same time, and I was completely willing to have one have the wrong thread color. And since I have to thread my machine, I'm just going to thread it in white since it'll be wrong on both of them. And it's going to be on inside stitches that nobody should ever see. So since they were both going to be wrong, one of them was going to be wrong anyways, they're both going to be wrong, but not that wrong in the thread color. So I like to match my thread colors when I can, but this is going to be so tough to weigh. Nobody's going to see it. all the little things in my way. Bruno, until you're settled down. Thank goodness. All right. Is this plugged in? Yes. Had this all done so that I could have my tie on, but now I'm comfortable. This is a new thread I haven't opened yet. So there it is. They like to put the little thread in one of those slices at the top, but I'm just live trying to pick this little thread out in front of you guys. This is still threaded. Okay. I cannot get this threaded. Don't worry, I'm just live. It's the 13th episode on the 13th day of April. Mwahaha. I'm going to blame everything on that. Anything goes wrong, it's just because of that. Not because I'm like making genuine mistakes or anything. You know. All right, I am threaded. I am ready to sew. I haven't got my fabric ready to sew yet. I have the blue. And I have the pink. So if I want it 1.5 inches finished, it's going to be 1.5 inches plus 1.5 inches plus seam allowance only on one side on both of the sides. So let me just draw out a little seam allowances plus 1.5 inches. So if I do it at 2 inches, nope. Don't worry, I'm just trying to figure out how wide to cut this in front of you guys. 1/2 inch seam allowance, one seam, not two. Finished with 1.5 inches. So 4 inches. Bigs, Bob's, props. At least it's not Friday. Friday's the name of my character on Valheim. Yeah, I know. I was thinking it's Thursday the 13th. It's okay. I love superstitions. And the number 13 hasn't been the most unlucky of numbers to me, so I can't really complain. 1.5 plus 1.5 inches plus seam allowance. 4 inches. I'm going to tear it at 4 inches. Oh my gosh, Big Bob's props. I had to hand stitch everything after my sewing machine blow up the day before a convention. Sewing machine problems sometimes can take more time to solve than actually the sewing you need to do with the machine. I've had that experience many a times, especially using old sewing machines. Hold on, let me just tear this because it's kind of loud to talk over. So I feel you on that. But also at the same time, hand stitching isn't as slow as you think it is. It's laborious and it's intensive, but I definitely like using my sewing machine when I can. Let me do, oh, can I have that back there now? Thank you. Dan does junk. I'm aware of superstitions, but I don't really believe them. Right? It's kind of fun to play. Two, three, and four. Let me get through that. Salvage. Let's see if I'll be as lucky because this is silky. Nope, didn't think so. Worth a try though. Okay. Big box drops 3 points. Yes. Okay. I'm just going to pick this up off the ground because I don't want to leave that there. I'm trying to think of how long I need each side. So if I do each one 8 inches plus half an inch for the front seam allowance, plus I need tying room. How much room does it take to tie a knot to keep the knot? It's like the small. How long does my string need to be to keep the knot with short little ends and fit underneath my knot loop? So I'm going to take a pin and mark the edges of my knots, or of this knot that I have here. And then I'll see how long each side is. Make a guesstimation based on that. So these, are they even the same length? This one. Jeez. This one's afraid not. Okay. Yeah, they're about the same size. So how long is that? That is 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. So 8 inches plus 4 inches plus a half an inch of seam allowance plus another half an inch of seam allowance. So 4, 13. Let's do it. I think that number works for today. I think that's going to be a good number to work with. So Big Bob's Props. Hope that's not the coffee. No, not the coffee. Thankfully, just going to tear on the. Maybe I should put her somewhere a little more safer than that. Okay. Dan does junk. I use sewing machines manually. Is that because you're sewing through difficult materials and you're just like turning the crank to get through them? Because I've done that before. Yeah, and it's kind of worth it. I'm thinking of all those weird situations, sewing through vinyl, leather, cardboard, you name it. I probably try to throw it through a sewing machine at some point. So seriously? 13 inches? Wrong side of the measure. Okay. And that's the right size? Yeah, that's the right size. All right, I need 2 of them for each bodice. These strings are everywhere. These little silk fibers, because I am cutting these off grain. The whole threads are coming off in like long pieces. So that's why these threads are everywhere. Whether you guys can see them or not, I am tangled in them. Okay. Okay, Danda's junk. I just have poor control in feeding and guiding the fabric. You know what a really good practice thing to do that's kind of fun that you typically do with kids when you're teaching them how to sew is you do like, you draw swirls on fabric or paper and you follow those swirls or guidelines like you're driving a car. And then it's like you do it as a speed race, you know, like you're driving your car and you have to get down the street and you follow the curves, and the better you can stay within the lines, the better you're driving. Anyways, that's a fun game to practice your control under a sewing machine and driving fast. You know, it's worth a try. Just draw a couple swirls on a piece of paper or a racetrack, you know, and then just kind of take it through the sewing machine. And it is a lot like driving. You can control the speed with the pedal. I can control the speed with my sewing machine right here, so I don't even need a pedal. I can start and stop and sew with my fingers. But you can also, I do like the pedal. But yeah. Danda's junk. Ah, I see. Driving something I know about. Yes, exactly. Like driving a car is not far off from driving a sewing machine. You just gotta stay in the line. Look at where you're going, not where you are. Ah, these fibers. Ah, okay. I am tangled. Can you guys see all of this? They're so silky and soft. Okay. I was using that for measurement, but I'm going to use this one now instead. This one is scrapping. Okay. I am going to plug in my iron now so it's hot by the time I'm done sewing, so I can press these as soon as I'm done sewing. Look at me think ahead. All right, Toby Bruno. Gotta watch out about stepping on the doggos. And is it on? It is on. Okay. I'm just going to keep it at the regular stitch length, nothing special. I am going to stitch one short end and leave the other short end open and sew along the whole top end. Dan Disram says, I feel it's important to know how it feels to lose control behind the wheel so you get familiar with it and know how to both avoid it and correct it. Now, luckily for you, sewing with a sewing machine is a whole lot safer to make mistakes. And if you feel like you're losing control, you stop. I just stopped because it was starting to slip. And if I even stitched one more stitch, it probably would have just did it slightly off. So I just took my foot off the pedal and it stopped. The sewing machine always stops with the needle down, so it holds the place where you need to do it. So you can lift the foot, readjust your placement, and put it back down. You are in complete control and get to and the fabric is going to probably fold the way you want it to go. And if you are on grain, it'll be helpful. And if you're off grain, it's going to be a terrible fight. And these are technically supposed to be bias if it was like a real tie, which is its own other can of worm for good and for bad. But yes, losing control on a sewing machine is a lot safer than losing control on a car. I've done both. So I'm going to put these over here to the side so that I can press them all, but I'm going to stitch them all before I press because I'm trying to be efficient. Big Bob's prop. When I was a kid learning to sew, I ended up sewing it to the front of my trousers. I've stitched a thing or two to myself many a times. I think it's funny because I was talking to Yelenia and we were laughing because Yelenia is a seasoned pro at sewing. My gosh, this girl is very talented. And we laugh because we make stupid mistakes. Even the most seasoned of seamstresses will like sew an arm into a neck hole just because you're sitting there, you get into your muscle memory, I suppose, and you just kind of get into it, and then it's like, why isn't this working? Oh, because it's the wrong, like the stupidest, silliest mistakes that you can make. I've seen them on all the levels. And what's nice is you can always hopefully, you can always rip it out. Leather, the holes are permanent, but, ooh, I don't like that noise. But we could, okay. Yes. I've sewn myself to several garments. You know, it happens. It really does. Especially when I like to use my knee as a brace when I'm sewing. And so if I have like a pant on or something, I've definitely sewed it to my knee before. I try not to, but it's happened. Will Connors, I can only hand sew, too heavy-footed to use the machines. Ends up going fast and snap the needle. That is what this is for. This thing has, let me see if I can, I'm going to unplug it so I can put it close to the camera. See right here, this thing right here? This is slow. This is fast. This is so you can go as fast as the machine will go. This means no matter how hard you push on that foot, it's only going to go slow. So it's like a speed cap on your sewing machine. So if you know that you're heavy-footed and you're just going to push down, I understand this. My mother calls me a lead foot all the time, and I laugh because it's true. You can turn the sewing machine to the slower setting. I've done it before. Like if I'm sewing something tricky and I know I'm going to go fast, I'll slow myself down. You know, I don't like to. I don't want to have to. But I also use that to sew without using the foot. So if I don't want to plug in my foot, I will also use this to go slow, take my stitches, start and stop. And so it's like, I don't know, more video game sewing, I suppose. Power cord. There it is. But there is a reason I absolutely love this computerized sewing machine. If you get all tangled, you get messed up, you get your settings all wonky and you don't want to deal with figuring it out, turn it off, you turn it on again, and it goes back to 0 at the regular stitch length, the regular stitch that you're going to need. And it beeps at you if there's something wrong as to why it's not going to work. The biggest problem with it that I've had is I just have to change out my needles. Oh, it's sewing crappily, change out my needle. So I really like computerized sewing machines for that very reason, because when you get the manual ones where you are putting like the stitch width and the length with shifting the knobs to adjust the cams inside so that it's like the right stitch that you want. Oh my gosh, I love preset. It's just a button. And then if you're all mixed up and you want to sew with your sewing machine, you don't have to do that weird zigzag you were doing when you left off, or that hemming stitch when you left off. It just goes straight to straight stitch. I've used a lot of vintage machines and a lot of old machines, and I've fixed them over my lifetime. I like this machine. I have used it and I've abused it. And this is the second one I've owned of it. And I've used other variations of this model. And while I do like the ones with the fancy knee knocker, that's the only thing that I miss about them, is I like the knee knocker. If this sewing machine had a knee knocker, it would be like the best ever. But it's the second best ever. But it's way cheaper than the version of it with the knee knocker. So anyways, I have opinions on these things. But I understand the losing control while you sew, and it's like, ah! I've seen it happen. It's very common. But, and look, I'm not even using needles. I'm being a very bad example, but if you have pins like you're supposed to, you don't, and I'm not using pins, but it lines up, it's straight. I know I'm where I need to be. Silky fabrics, you might want to use pins just because, oh, I have it at slow. I can't go fast. Like, why isn't it going? I throttled myself. Will Connors, thanks Felicia. I'll check my machine tonight. Biggest mistakes I've seen with sewing machines is that the tension's all off. You can't adjust the bottom tension, but you can adjust the top tension. And that's where I struggle the most, because yeah, if the bottom machine tension's off, ugh, I don't want to deal with it. I can adjust the top tension, but I love computerized sewing machines. I should just make little printables of paper, so of racetracks, so people can like practice sewing on the swervy pads. All right, 1, 2. Yeah. Spend so much time talking. Oh, I don't like that. I pulled a thread in there. It's okay. Ah. Oh, that'll be fine. No, it won't. This side. And last one. Okay. Oh, I should have done that side. Oh, okay. Put this out of the way. My ironing board. Oh, that has a pin on it. Okay. I have a needle and thread here. These are floating around everywhere. It's getting dangerous. Dangerous. Junk says, I might have to cancel coming over if I'm still not feeling better by Sunday. Yes. Yes, there are people with autoimmune compromatabilities that we have to be conscientious of now these days. We understand. Anyways, we will miss you, but thank you for thinking of our safety and health. Appreciate it. But if you're feeling better, please come by. What is Dan talking about? Well, this Sunday, I'm going to be live with Odin on his channel at Odin Makes on YouTube, where we are building the Ghostbusters proton packs. We've gotten pretty far. We are getting so close, but we're getting really close to the electronics part, which I'm excited about. But yes, so feel better, take care of yourself, and you are always welcome to join Dan Does Junk. All right, let me see. Wonder, is that the same length? I knew it. I was like, this looks about the right size. It was just a ribbon hanging out. I was like, All right, so people who sew, especially professionally, will tell you press as you sew. Press as you sew, press as you sew. It's not iron as you sew, it's press as you sew. But why? I'm going to show you one of these if I just don't iron it or press it or do anything, and what it looks like if I do. So I'm still going to cut out this corner because I want it to fold nicely. Oh, I found my bone folder yesterday and I used it and didn't put it away. It's in a drawer. So I cut off this corner so that I can fold the fabric down, and it decreases the bulk in this corner, so it will be sharper of a corner when it's folded, when it's flipped. At least that's the idea. Oh, good. Dan does junk. At least it's not COVID. I tested negative twice. Good. Oh, but still, it's not fun to feel sick, so I hope you do feel better. I have no good folder things. I'll use this marker. I'm going to reflip this one inside out and press it, but I'm going to show you as an example while I press these ones, all the extra ways of why it looks so much better if you do it the quote unquote right way and why it's become the right way. Okay. Get that corner. Okay, so here is my necktie ribbon. It's going to be attached here. And this is how poofy it is. This is how it wants to lay. It looks really pretty on camera and very bubblegummy, but I'll compare it to one once I've flipped it and pressed it. So I am doing the wrong sides and I'm just pressing them flat first. Let me trim out this corner. And we'll do the flippy thing. There's tools to make this job easier. I've owned them. I own some. Totally not using them, can you tell? Okay. I'm going to press the seam I sewed first, and then I'll press the other edge. I am just putting the iron directly on this. I have been kind of testing, seeing how hot this fabric could take, and it's pretty solid, pretty heat resistant. So this side versus this side. I'm trying to get it flat at the seam so the seam is pressed out and not like this getting smooshed down, so that it's like that instead of like that. Does that make sense? Anyways, just press it. So here is a nicely pressed ribbon, and here is a not pressed ribbon. Here's where you can see the seam side, and this is the seam side. When people say that ironing is the difference between it looking homemade and professional, they're not lying. Pressing is really what makes the biggest difference. It really does. It's more smooshing it, and you smoosh it, and you smoosh it, and then it looks pretty. And then you let it cool. I like using my hands more than I like using the clapper because I can feel it, the heat dissipate. But I burned myself so many times that I don't hate using the clapper. Anyways. So I'm not going to press this one until I pressed it the other way, but I'm going to keep it as my example piece. Dan does junk. Looks like taffy. Yes, it looks very candy and bubblegum, and I love it. So. Okay. And flip it. It is a windy day today. Tempting fate here. I am making progress, so it's getting quiet. It's okay though. Let me get this corner all nice. So one of my visual merchandiser teachers in college, he was the visual merchandiser for Nordstrom's, and he was the one who told me about Rowenta irons, and oh my gosh, my steamers are Rowenta. This thing is a little shark. I broke my Rowenta iron. I was sad about that. But he's the one who was, as the visual merchandiser, he was like, oh my gosh, pressing your garments is so important. He's like, I make friends with the tailors in the suit department because those guys know how to make things look impressive. So like ironing, steaming, pressing, he instilled how important it was. And the thing is like when I started styling and doing production design professionally, steaming, ironing, it made a huge difference. Nobody wants to see the wrinkles in the tablecloth. Nobody wants to see wrinkles on the shirts or the sweaters. They need to look fresh but brand new and not like they're just out of the package. So you have to get all those fold lines out and everything. And the better you are at steaming and ironing, the more professional the things looked. At the costume shop, I spent a lot of time just sitting there and steaming out all the wrinkles of the costumes before we put them back on the shelves. It made a difference. And oh my gosh, do I love the smell of Tide. The soap, not dish soap, the laundry soap. Like, James insisted on cleaning everything with Tide. Well, all the laundry with Tide. It smelled so good, steaming everything. It was like zen. Let me go steam everything. And I absolutely love having my standing steamer because it's instantly, let me just steam this. It takes 45 seconds to heat up. And then I also really like my little saltwater steamer Courtney got me. Oh my gosh, that thing is a beast. it will, like, you put salt water in it. So it's the same size as this, but it's purple. It's also purple, but it's a steamer, and it's all plastic and has a little hole right there. You put a little bit of salt in it and water, and it just almost instantly. It's crazy. It's extremely dangerous, and I don't let PAs use it, but I will use it on set, but I won't let other people use it because they have burned themselves, and I feel like it's too much of a liability. But I absolutely love that steamer, and I'm so grateful that Courtney thought of me to give me that because I love it. It is a great portable one. I like having my standing one, but I love that little portable salty thing. I wouldn't use it for garments on an everyday basis because I think I would be afraid of like salt water, like the deteriorating effects it has on it corrodes metal. It's not something I would use every day, but when I just need a little power booster, that thing is amazing. And again, here's the difference between this one and this one. Why am I ironing it this way if I'm going to turn it the other way and iron it? That's a very good question. It helps smoosh the stitching together. It helps meld it. It really does, so that when you flip it, it wants to crease on that stitching line better. That's as scientific as I can get about it, but it does help. Trim out. What's wrong, Bruno? Why are you so sad? I just was thinking, on sewing machines, sometimes it's hard doing a straight line. But giving yourself a guideline can be extremely helpful. I often use the side of my foot because, sorry, that's where the 1/2 inch marker is for me. And I'm really good at using it. But I had this magnetic plate with this magnet. I would stick on it, and you could adjust it. And because the magnet sat up about a 1/4 of an inch, it was pretty thick, but not that thick. It was a good tangible guideline that I could physically feel with the fabric. So if I had like an 1.5 inch seam allowance, or a really narrow seam allowance, or a really wide seam allowance, I could change it and have a big physical barrier. And I really liked working with that, especially when I had like the bulky Renaissance fabrics, because then you're getting velvet and damask and all these other things. Like, they can get pretty thick in all the different fabric layers. And having that as a guideline on a sewing machine was amazing. It was a random product that I found in an old sewing basket. I love getting sewing supplies from the thrift store in old sewing baskets where people have like all their, like, you find a little box of the sewing kits. You find all sorts of notions and little things that are super nifty. And that was something I found it in an old sewing stash that had never been used. And it was like this magnet, this revolutionary magnet thing. And I'm like, this thing's great. I haven't seen them at the regular fabric stores, but I'm like, I need one of those again. I miss it. It was over at Decades. Bruno, what's wrong? Why are you so sad? Why are you so sad? Oh, are you cold? Is that what it is? You're cold? Here. You can be warm, okay? Is that better? Is that better? Okay. So, anyways, a magnet on your plate, if it is magnetic, not all plates are magnetic. That thing came with a little sticker magnet thing, so it was like a 2-piece set. and I absolutely loved it. But the same effect can be done with a rubber band. It's not as bulky, so it doesn't stand up as the magnet did, the magnet that I had. But if you take a rubber band and you wrap it around the machine arm where your guidelines are, an actual rubber barrier that you can physically feel with your fabric is a really helpful guideline. So you can put it at that strange 5/8 seam allowance that patterns use. I hate 5/8 seam allowance. I've gone through patterns and just cut it off. I don't even use commercial patterns hardly at all. I haven't used them in I don't remember the last time I've used a commercial pattern. I really don't. I don't like the seam allowances, and that's the part that gets me. I like thinner seam allowances. I like 1/4 inch. I like 1/2 inch. I do not like 5/8 inch seam allowance. I even like a whole inch seam allowance if I have a reason for it, it makes sense. But 5/8 inch seam allowance, I'm not a fan of it. I know that's a silly thing to get caught up on. I'm doing that ironing habit of where I wiggle it. Just press it. It's okay. You smoosh it and you smoosh it and you smoosh it and you smoosh it, and then eventually it looks pretty. And smoosh it. Feel like I may have gotten slightly off when I was sewing this one. That's okay. Smooshing it after you heat it up as it cools really does make a difference somehow. Just doing this as it cools, it really just, it lays flatter. It always has, whether you use your hands or the fancy wood block. It really does make a difference. So if you press as you sew, you get nice, pretty, straight, finished looking things. If you just sew it and you don't iron as you go, you get kind of cattywampus looking sewing, and can be solved by pressing. Case and point. I'm going to flip this back inside out, press those seams, and then turn it back inside out. I know it's stupid, but I'm going to do it because it looks better. And if it makes it look better, that's why I got to do it. You comfortable now, Bruno? Okay. Smoosh it, smoosh it, and smoosh it. Okay. It really was just cold. Okay. Okay. I don't want to do that. So see how the seam is there? If I just smoosh it like this will go on the inside and kind of make like a heart shaped, and then it just gets smooshed into that sandwich. I don't want that as much as possible. So I'm trying to push the seams out as much as I can so that it presses. As wide as I can on that line. Ugh. And I don't like melting in the wrong way because then it just compounds the problem. You smoosh it and you smoosh it and you smoosh it. Okay. I know it's just a simple tube, but it looks so much better pressed. So I'm going to hand stitch. Let me unplug my iron because I always forget to do that. Don't pull it out like that, boys and girls. That's not safe. I'm going to put this back away. Okay. Now you guys can see Toby, and I just blocked him. Toby's right there. Bruno's all comfy here. And I have my tie-ties. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to attach this here so that it can tie here. I'm only going to attach it, oh, I love how poppy this is, at this part. So, Bruno, I kind of need my lap for this because I have so much I'm trying to, no? I'm sorry, Bruno. I need you to move for just a moment so I can figure this out. Danda's junk. You used to smosh it, now you smoosh it. Yeah. Right, Bruno, here. Come curl up with Toby. Go, Bruno. Okay. All right. If I sew this like this, you guys see? If I sew it here like this, then it'll wrap around like that is the plan. I'm going to thread my needle with, should I do blue or pink? I'm going to go with blue. You know what? I have a pink needle and thread right here. I'm just going to go with this one. And then I will thread the next one with blue and see which one looks better. Okay. Oops. So I'm just going to lock the stitch in place. So my finished end is this end. My raw end, I'm just kind of folding it in on itself like this. So you don't see any of this. Stupid feathers. Fold it in itself just a ½ an inch. And I'm stitching that to the top of my armhole in the front. Let me pin that in place so I'm not fighting and struggling this. The struggle is real. Ah. You know, if I ironed it, it'd probably work better. Shh. Okay. I want it pinned flatter than that. Yeah, I couldn't have done this with one on my lap. It just wouldn't work. Don't worry, I'm just struggling with this live. I can do this. Trying not to smoosh everything else while I'm stitching this in place. Actually, pink was the better choice of the two options because the part of this blue that will show won't show the pink, and the part of the pink that will show won't show the thread. So, oh, Yanalith is here. Welcome, Yanalith. Glad you could make it. I'm trying to add ties to these. I'm not doing a great job at the moment, but we'll get there. It's okay, I can breathe while I'm stitching. I'm just holding my breath. I'm going, stay where I need you to stay. Look nice, please. Okay. Okay, let me see if that's going to work. So now that it's stitched this way, it'll fold around so you can't see it on the side. And it'll tie this way, all nice and neat up in there, and come out that way. It worked. Knock on wood. This is wood. Don't worry. If anything goes wrong, I'm just blaming on it on that. That's the 13th episode on the 13th day. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Although I've typically had great luck when it comes to the number 13. Let me lock this stitch in place. I really like hand stitching when it comes to these weird and awkward spots. Like, I laugh at how many pictures of me sewing weird ball gowns where it's just fabric and I'm just trying to get into this waistband spot and the fabric's engulfing and eating me. Yes, I have many of those. All right, let me do the other side now. Look how pretty that is. You can't even see what I just stitched, can you? I think pink was exactly the right choice to make. I love it. All right, now for this side. Half an inch. I think it would have been easier had I just ironed these or pressed these folded in. Then I wouldn't be fighting them to stay folded in because they would have already been melted. All right. Let me lock in my stitches first. Okay. See if I can make this easier this time. Wait, what? Okay, that's what that was. This is so weird of an angle to try and get into there. Yes. Dan does junk. I'm so out of it. I forgot what part you're working on, Felicia. No, I know. It's it's hard to even like know what I'm actually trying to copy / replicate. But this is the necktie neck part of the tie. The two tie straps that are going to get tied together to attach the tie, but it's not a traditional necktie because they're not. Because this is a little bit of a weird of a neckline. But we are getting the straps tied on. So hopefully in just a second I'll be able to show you the grand scheme. And then I can attach it to the other bodice. Tie that off. Okay. So now this that I just tied in should be able to go forward, and you shouldn't be able to see it from the inside. Dan does junk. Yeah, I see it now. The straps with the knot together and the tie will slip over and cover the knot. A simulated tie. Okay, so now, I have too much hair. It's all in the way. So now these all hook up. I'm only going to do the top and the bottom one because it is a pain in the butt to do all of them, but they are all done, so I can. But now I'm going to slide on. My tie. Tie this in a knot right here. To wherever I want it to hang-ish. But it makes a little tiny bow that goes tucked by behind and into this knot. So that my tie now hangs in place. So I have a tie here that is adjustable. Yeah, I like it. I need to cover that part up, but. And then to get out of it, just slide it out of the way and do the little bow we just tied. Oh. So that is the plan, man. Now I have to do it to this one. I have blue thread here. I'm going to do blue thread. Yeah. I know I still have a little bit of pink thread and this stuff is pink, but I can't see any of my stitching on that one. Ionolith. Felicia, how about using Velcro? Velcro would be a completely viable option and I was considering it, but less materials, less things, and less steps, me just making ties that tie together. I was going to make those straps anyways. I could Velcro them, I could snap them, I could hook and eye them. I was thinking there's a lot of different ways I could do them, but the one that it requires the least amount of excess materials, steps, and etc. was to just tie it, in my opinion. There's so many ways to do things. A million ways. But yes, I do like Velcro. I didn't want to bother finding any. But I did consider using Velcro, not magnets, because magnets would not work for that application. But yeah. Here we go. Okay. My needle is threaded. I have all my crazy pieces. Schultz Division's here. Hello, Schultz Division. Ionolith, it would not. I would let you use some of my elastic band. I have elastic, but I don't think elastic is. I did consider using elastic, but it's just tension that doesn't need to be there. Yeah. I don't know. This is what I thought of this morning. I had a completely different plan to go about doing this exact same kind of a process, and it involved those pant loop latches. But then right before I started the live stream, I was like, I could just tie this tie. And so that's what I decided to do today. Let me see. Hey, look, I totally left a needle in here. There is a needle and thread left from sewing this armpit. Well, that's nice and convenient for me now. I have to hand stitch this part with some yellow. This is where I'm going to stitch it, is right here, this part. How am I going to balance this? I don't know. Like this. Eonolith, can you elaborate more? You're saying you mean those things on cargo pants? What things are you talking about? Oh, my computer's going to die. Give me 2 seconds to make sure I'm plugged in. Like the responsible person I am. Oh, look, we're not going to die today. Oops. Get all these little fuzzies off. Yonalith, because right now I have elastic band and snaps. I love taking out my maul and hammer those in. Those are fun. I've done those. I don't currently have the setup to do those at the moment. Toby sees me drop things. Is this food? Is this food? Chills Division, too early for a beer? Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. But for me, yes. Yes, it is. Ah! Eonolith, well, there are the loops on the aprons and cargo pants. You can use them to hold tools. Those are called hammer loops, I think, on cargo pants, because you're supposed to be able to store your hammer in those. Are those hammer loops? Now I'm confused, because I used to know what. They're like carpenter's pants, and they have the hammer loops. I remember having a pair of pants of those, and I absolutely loved them. Thought they were so cool. Bid Bad Wolf Custom Airbrushing and Decals is here. Afternoon, Cleo, and hello, Felicia. Hello. All right. I can get this done. Okay. Lock this in place. And here's my little. Okay. This side is in, flips around, and goes along. To go up on the cone, it gets longer, so these weren't the same size pieces. Well, it's not the end of the world. I'm glad I decided to. Yeah. This one stops right here. So they would meet right behind the knot. So I could still technically make it work, but it's not going to be with a tie. Over an inch. Darn it, dang it. It's not the end of the world, but all right. All right. Let me just go make some longer ones. All right. I need to add stay. Okay. All right, let's try this again. So these meet exactly in the middle, so it needs to be this much longer. Where did I get this measurement from? This was the length that I need to in order to tie a knot, and the knot be small enough to fit underneath the tie and be long enough to still tie. So I need to add an extra 4 inches to my 13-inch strip. So if I cut this piece in half, will it be long enough? Just barely. I'm going to go with it. I'll use this piece as the little back tie piece so that it's, no. Oh well. Will and Connor's at a class to go behind the tie instead of a knot. I know, I could, I should. I considered that. It went through my brain. And then I thought of all the other snaps that I still have to put into that, and I was like, I don't want to do that right now. So it's all good. It's easier to do something the second, third, fourth, fifth time doing it. Let me plug in my iron, and my sewing machine's still plugged in. Muddle sugar. Okay, let me grab this. All right, and we're back at it. Right sides together. Just trim off all this excess fuzz. It is too much for me at the moment. Oh, so much threads. It's all satiny. Get these side too. All right, let's try this again. So I have plenty of practice doing this now. I have plenty of practice doing this now. Okay. Just so you guys know, I am singing the Speed Racer theme song in my head as I sew. Going, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go. And when I get to the go is usually when I stop, readjust, and then keep going. Especially when I want to sew fast. I shouldn't read comments when I'm stitching straight lines, but oh well. Okay. Yana, my birthday's on the 23rd. Happy birthday. Your birthday's going to fall on a Sunday this year. Do you have any plans yet? All right. Press this side too. Let me cut that corner. Gotta cut your corners, people. When they say don't cut no cutting corners, that means they're not trying to turn them inside out. No. Oh, nice. Yana, we're going out of town starting the 19th and we're coming back on the 21st. Well, venture birthdays are the best. I hope you have lots of. And that corner's right. Everything inside is laying right. Haha. Smooshing, smooshing, smoosh. So nice, so pretty, so flat. If you learn nothing else from today, know that if you press while you sew, your sewing will be much more impressive. Turn it inside out. Okay. 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 Smoosh it and you smoosh it and you smoosh it. So slippery. All right, just not pressed, pressed. Same tube. And although this step feels unnecessary and annoying, it makes the biggest difference. All right. I always forget to unplug this thing. Have to unplug it. Okay. Now that I have my airheads finished, let's try these ones and see if they're the right size. That's much better. Okay, we can work with that. Stay. Let me move this out of the way. Okay. Hi, Toby. Okay. Okay. Hi, Toby head. Hi, Toby. Okay. I don't want to mess this thing up, but I need to get a good angle so I can stitch in there where you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. So, Toby is getting covered in all my little threads. But as soon as he stands up, he'll shake them off. Okay. One and two. All right. Let me do this so I can kind of pretend to show you what I'm doing. I am stitching it to the inside of this part right here. Let's try this angle a little bit better. Good. This thing's getting a little crazy, but I think that's the fun of it. I really do. And lock the stitch in place. All right. Schultz division got a blanc. Well, nice. That sounds Nice and lovely. Okay, we have one tie in place. Let me get the other side. This one's a short one. This one's a long one. It would suck if I sewed a short one into it. Let's not do that. I put down my needle and thread. There it is. Yeah, that totally, thank you. Okay, let me rethread my needle because this is just a little too short to work with. Get that off. I don't need that long. Okay. These fuzzies. Yana, that looks like an axe, right? It looks pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind a Technicolor battle axe for a costume. Yes, this is the right size one. Okay. Yana, thanks for helping me with ideas. I feel like anything in these cartoon colors just feels like a dream. A fever dream, but a dream. The better I can see, the worse you guys can see. So, okay. All right. Ah! Okay, let me tie that off in a knot. And test how this one works. Can't see my stitches on the inside. So this one doesn't have its closures in yet, and I'm planning on doing snaps. They're just not there yet. So this is where it goes, but it's not. I'm just holding it here for now. Maybe this won't work the best. I probably should add the snaps. I really should. I just wanted to see what the tie looked like. I'm gonna look anyways, even if it's like really hard. Okay. Iana, so what kind of colors would you want your Technicolor Battle Axe? Hot pink. Danda's Junk. Today's the last day to get payroll taxes paid, so I'm pushing myself despite my health. Yep, tax season for accountants. It's the crazy time. All right, now cover up that knot with the knot from my big tie, and ta-da! Despite it having no front closures yet, there we go. Despite it having no front closures yet, I have a tie. A nice tie. And the shirt will get tucked in. Yep. I think it's going to look very, very professional. Okay. I got ties installed. I have to put the closures on this bodice. Just say, okay. So that's where we're at. I have the ties installed. I think my pink, this bodice is finished. I put it back on the dress form, but her arm's in the way and I don't want to fight with it. So, what did we learn today? Driving a sewing machine is like driving a race car. If you can drive a car and drive in a straight line, you can sew a sewing machine. And if you iron as you sew, your stuff looks 100 times better than if you don't. So if you learn nothing else, press as you sew. I say this so many times because I'm the person who never wanted to press as I sewed. Because it takes so much time and it makes a difference and it looks so much better. So just do it. Thank you for welcome to my TED Talk. Or thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No. Schultz is out of here. Gotta go talk to y'all later. So Yana says, I have all the smooth satin paints from Plaid Effects. Ooh, lucky. I just steal them from Odin if I need a color in particular. DJ Smoke Beast, Meg, I forgot to tune in. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. Okay. 45th Clown says hello all. Well, welcome everybody. Today I think we were fairly successful. We added ties to tie our ties on. You know, we probably could have done a traditional tie, but I think this weird roundabout way is just as good as any other way. And I had fun doing it. I still have to do the closures on the blue one. I'm planning on doing that one with snaps because I have a 1-inch overlap for it to snap to. And I think it's going to work out great. I want to see if I can get only 3 snaps in there as opposed to putting like, I put 9 hook and eyes. I think I want to try and do only 3 snaps. Let's see if that works. 4 maybe. No more than that. I don't want to do that many. Especially if I'm stitching it into cardboard, which is completely possible, but I'm not looking forward to it. That's why I haven't done it yet. And then I have the skirts. The blue skirt, I'm going to be really simple with it. I want to do just a little stretchy mini skirt. And then for the pink one, that one's going to be fun. But I want to go back to Costco and get more of the cardstock. I just want to see if I can get... I'm messing with these circles and the shapes. I really am playing with it. And last time I went to Costco to go get more of that cardboard, somebody had cleaned it out. They just put out all the fresh paper towels specifically because the toilet paper has the exact same weight of cardboard, but they fold it in the middle so there's a fold line, and I need the flat one specifically for the circle skirt. And somebody had cleaned it completely out when I went there. Like, it was, all of them were fresh there, but there was none of the dividers. I was like, I shouldn't tell people my secret, but I want people to be able to access, you know, craft supplies that are good, and also reduce, reuse, and recycle. So if it's not ending up in the garbage, I'm happy. So yes, please go rescue cardboard from Costco. But dagnabbit, it wasn't there when I needed it last time I went in. Whoever's here going to that Costco, geez Louise. No, it's okay. But yeah, we're getting down to the last of this. This is going to be done before I know it, and then it'll be off to go make art, and that should be exciting. All right. It's been a couple hours working on this project. Thank you guys so much again for joining me, keeping me company while I work on this. It may take longer to do when I live stream, but at least it's more fun. Yes, so Iana Dandas, John Schultz Division, 45th Clown, DJ Stumpy, and everybody else I forgot to mention. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And keep an eye out for when I go live. I try and give some notice. And also I try to post it on the Odamakes Discord, private Discord server. So people who are joined to that, I post there. But yes, until next time, thank you for joining me. Bye.